Hi, Jack. How's it going?
Everything good, thank you.
Awesome. I came over to, actually, I called you to take over your channel.
You already did.
Well, I want to do a part 2 of interviewing you because I still feel like there's some unanswered questions that people may want to know.
Really? The other interview went almost an hour. So there's
Yeah,
more.
it did. But it was good.
Yeah.
It was good because, it was very interesting to hear your perspective.
Thank you. If there's anything that the parents can get out of it or players, then that's worth it. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we need more guys like you telling parents the truth about youth hockey.
Thank you. Glad to help. Any way I can help.
Yeah.
If it can make a difference, absolutely. Any players listening or parents, anybody. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Here's my first question. When you were playing in youth hockey or juniors or whatever, what was the worst drill or drills that you ever did?
Probably in midget hockey in California, stupid gauntlet, where they line 15 guys off the boards and one guy runs through, and they all get to check them.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. There was not much else. Pretty much it was all 3-on-2s, all the basics. As you got into juniors and pros, it got more sophisticated drills. But what I see today, the stupidest thing that they do is that mohawk, that one where they open their legs, and it doesn't work in the game. I mean, if you open up, you're basically giving the puck away, and they say, Crosby does it. Well, I watched Crosby and Marchand one-on-one keep away. Crosby did not once do that. And so that's the one that mohawk. That's even the wrong name for it. It's not really called mohawk. That's a figure skating term that they're using, but it's not the right term. And the other one is the one where they go on one knee, they put their edge out, and they go deep on the edge. That's stupid. It does nothing. Then the other one is the one where they army crawl on their arms across the ice. Yeah, like a push-up position. So those three.
I don't understand that drill. I really don't.
It's supposed to make your arms stronger, but it makes kids hate the game. So those are the three. We never did those back. I mean, the gauntlet, and then we had I've seen that one where they go across their arms back in the day, but that was it, not the other two. That's all just gimmick stuff.
Okay. What do you think about hockey equipment, like sticks, chest plates, the whole thing, and their pricing?
Well, pricing, okay. So equipment's much lighter than it used to be. Pricing's way out of hand. It's way out of hand. It's just gotten to the point where it's ridiculously expensive for just foam and plastic. And what I see is that companies will say, yeah, this is the best product we have. It's a great product. And the kids buy it, they get used to it. All of a sudden, they change next year. Well, if you have something good, why would you change it? That's what I don't get. And skates are ridiculously expensive. They get into about like $1,000 to $1,200, which is insane. And sticks, the same thing. They're going up like $300-400 a stick, and they're not holding up. Yeah. So that's.
What do you feel about the skates compared to when you were younger to now? Do you see a huge difference?
Huge difference. They used to be leather. Now it's all composite and graphite, and it's very stiff. So a parent thinks if I buy my son an $800 skate, that they're going to be able to skate better, and then they can't bend their knees because it's so stiff, and that becomes a problem. So I believe the skate price shouldn't matter. It's what fits right and feels comfortable. More important than just paying the most expensive pair.
So buying like a pair of like $200 skates compared to 1,000, you would probably buy the 200 because it's just
Well,
probably,
depending on the 200, because nowadays $200 skates could be junk,
yeah,
because of the $1,000 skates are top notch. So you got to be mediocre pair, something that they can bend their knees comfortably for a kid, and something
yeah,
that can hold up. Because I've seen skates that broke down that are $1,000. Kids come with them. The bolts are popping off. The rivets are popping out, and they pay
yeah,
$1,000 custom skate, and they're not holding up. And it's kind of a shame. And they break the steel. The blades snap in half. I've seen that a few times.
oh wow,
Yeah.
yeah. I've never seen that happen.
No, it's quite a bit.
What do you think about ticket prices for the NHL games?
I really don't follow what the ticket prices are, but I'm guessing they're well over $100. Back like 20 years ago, the lower bowl you'd pay $75 a seat. So what happens is the payroll's pretty high for the owners, and they pass it along to the consumer, which is us buying the tickets. So they have a lot more jobs in the NHL now, so they got to pay everybody, and sticks are expensive, so it costs them. From what I heard, I was talking to Warrior, and they said that the Penguin stick budget was about $12 million in one season.
Oh wow.
So
That's a lot.
so the ticket prices is where they get their money back, and it's expensive to go to a game. I mean, it's more corporate than anything else now in all the arenas.
Yeah. Have you ever had any bad experiences with any teams?
As far as like on the ice or off the ice?
Let's go with when you were playing youth, juniors, pro, whatever.
When I was in the minors, I'm not going to name the coach, but we did ladders, and I'm always competitive where I skate hard, and I guess I beat everybody. So after practice, our practice rink is like 30 minutes from the stadium rink. So he said, come with me. So I left everything, and he drove me out to the stadium, and he gave me a flathead screwdriver, and he said, I want you to peel the advertisement boards off the advertisements off the boards. And he left me there. So that there was no cell phone. So yes, what happened is I didn't do it. I decided I'm not going to do anything. I didn't even lift a finger. So I had to find an usher that was working there, and I had to find my way back to where I was staying. I didn't even know the address, but luckily, I paid attention to the roads of how to get there. And yeah, so that was the worst one. Had another one where my coach threw my stick when I was in midgets, because I took a slap shot like top of the circles. It was about a foot off the ice. It was going in, and he came over. He's like, come over here. So he took my stick and he helicoptered it over the glass. He's like, go get it. So that was one. That's pretty much the ones I could think of. Yeah.
Why did he ever tell you why he threw
No
your
reason.
stick?
And we were allowed to do slap shots, and it wasn't the warm up, but we were actually doing in the drills. And I just came in and just ripped it. The goalie didn't even see it, and then he just came over and just took my stick and just threw it over the glass. There was no netting. No, there was none of that protective netting. It was at Burbank when it happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you feel about youth hockey coaches that coach two or more teams?
It's just nearly impossible. If you're going to put your heart into it, you got to focus on one team, because you got to watch videos. You got to do your research on other teams. And if you have more than one team, that sounds to me they're just trying to make money off doing as coaches. Some coaches I heard coaching up to 4 teams, and I don't know how they do it. Because if you're really going to focus, you got to be there every single practice, every single game. You cannot miss, because your dedication is to the kids, and you got to always be on time. Coach should be there. The first one there should be the coach before anybody. And that's what I think. I think they should all be allowed to coach one team, just like the kids are allowed to play on one team. They can't play on 2 teams in the same league, or it's the same thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Do you feel a youth hockey coach should be let go if he is not producing kids to learn the game?
Look, I appreciate coaches giving their time, and I thank all coaches for doing that for the kids. But what bothers me is there's verbal abuse, any kind of verbal abuse or punishment where they're making the kids punish them, then that coach should be let go. But if they're trying and maybe they're not producing, but they're trying to produce and they're giving it their effort, I don't think they should be let go. And sometimes the kids don't listen, and it's not the coach's fault, obviously. But when you got a team that wins and the coach punishes them after not winning big enough, or eating wrong, or they get something that they like to eat and they get punished for that, that coach should not be allowed to coach kids hockey at all. Zero.
Yeah.
That's what I think. So there's coaches that try, and they're doing everything right, but the kids are not listening, or the kids, you got one bad apple on the team that's ruining it for everybody. That can happen, where they're not listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about dry land training?
I think it's a waste of time. I think once you start the season, the kids are going to get conditioned just by playing. We never had dry land growing up. And I think once you're about 15 or so, I mean, you can lift weights on your own time. But all the dry land that they're doing, the kids are getting injured. And a lot of these coaches aren't certified to do dry land, because dry land, you need a certification, fitness. You got to be a fitness expert. And I'm not a fitness expert. My expertise is just on the ice. So, I mean, they could do a little stretching here and there, but when they're wearing them out before the game, making them run before the game starts, then they have no energy to play. That should be banned. No dry land. It should be optional. If the kids want to show up, they can, but it shouldn't be mandatory, because you didn't sign up for dry land. You signed up to play hockey.
Oh, if a parent were to ask you for some advice for their child who is playing, what is the best thing they can do for their kid playing youth hockey?
Work on your fundamentals. Make sure that your kid is having fun. Make sure that you do your research on the coaches, on the teams before you sign up. Make sure you have a budget and plan. So if they tell you we're doing 2 tournaments and then they end up doing 6 and end up costing you $20,000 for tournaments, then then you didn't do your research. So you got to ask up front, say, listen, how many tournaments are we doing? Because it is costly. You got to count your gas mileage. You got to count how much is he playing out there in line. Is he standing in line, or is he playing in the practice more? Or are they just standing around? Is it worth the drive? That's another thing. I know people that drive 2.5 hours and they get to practice and they only do like maybe 20 minutes and the rest is standing around. So you got to do your homework, whatever the team. Don't get caught up into the AAA thing, or don't get caught up into a vowel. More focus on that your kid's going to touch the puck a lot and play a lot and get a lot of ice time. If you play higher level where he's not touching the puck, then he's not gaining the experience. So sometimes keep them where they're at just to gain the experience. It's maybe more worth it at a young age. The other thing is, don't get caught up into buying a stick that's too flexy because someone at the shop told you to. So I believe in, me personally, I believe a kid from 6 years old to about 12 should be using a senior stick and heavy to build their forearms up, because I think the kids are used to these junior sticks, and then when they get older, they don't have the strength. So I believe that kids should be using a senior stick at a young age. Even if it doesn't flex, it doesn't matter.
Speaking of sticks, what do you think about today's sticks compared to when you had the wooden aluminum sticks?
The wooden sticks, they would wear down quicker on the blade because the wood would fray. So the graphite is definitely better. But as far as puck feel, wood sticks were better with the feel in the puck. They were cheaper. When I started out, sticks were costing about $8 to $12. And in my teens, I was paying up to $16 to $18 at the most for a stick.
Oh, wow.
So my dad would buy a dozen. So it was worth it. And they'd last about, as much as I was shooting, probably like close to 3 months.
Really?
Yeah.
So do you like the new ones today?
The good thing is the consistency on the curve's the same, so the curve doesn't change like wood would change one for the other. The warp easier to bend the wood blade. I like the wood sticks better if I was to play because I could feel the puck better. It's just got a better kind of kick to it. But you know nowadays with the graphites they can fine tune the kick and everything. They got that down. But just the price it's outrageous what they charge for a stick. And
yeah,
you know,
they're up to almost I think 400 now.
it's ridiculous. The tooling hasn't changed much. The tooling, how they make the sticks, pretty much the same. Materials maybe went up a little bit, but they're still making a fortune. What they do is the reason I think they charge so much is they cover their cost of that 30-day guarantee warranty.
Yeah.
So if you break it, you get a free stick. So that's covered in there. So that's why they probably charge so much. So you kind of covering for two sticks is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite hockey stick that you've used in the past or present?
Yeah, Warrior. I like Warrior hockey sticks. They're the ones who created the checkered pattern. They're the innovators of. Before they were Warrior, they used to be innovative, but it's the same people that are designing the sticks are still there. They created a lot of the stuff, and other companies are copying. But they were making sticks for Bauer, Nike, Hespler. They were making sticks for a lot of companies back in the day. Before Bauer had their plant, they were getting sticks made by the Warrior, innovative. And so I've been with Warrior since the beginning, 2005. I'm the first guy to use Warrior before anybody. And 1994, innovative. I started a little bit there with them. Was back and forth between the wood sticks and them because just trying to find blades that I liked was hard to find the right blades. Yeah.
Okay, I know you have like this crazy, amazing slap shot, and I've seen you firsthand do it, and I guarantee you, like 100% of the time, I don't see the shot go into the net because that's how fast it is.
Thank you.
When you're doing the slap shot with a new stick compared to an older one, what was the difference?
Like a new one of Warrior or just a different company?
Like whatever you're using now compared to like when you were doing slap shots, back then with like a wooden stick or...
okay. The difference is obviously because it's lighter. I mean, the miles per hour is much faster. It's usually 6-7 miles faster than a wood stick. But the difference is with the wood stick, the goalie could feel it through the pads because it's a heavier shot. So if you might be shooting, 6-7 miles slower, but when you shoot it, the impact of the puck, it's a lot heavier. They could feel it through the chest protector. That's a big, yes.
Wow.
I've cut a few goalies' fingers with a shot, like it went through the glove where it cut the fingers and they were bleeding. It's happened twice.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So just the feel of the shot, it's different with a wood stick. And I mean, the one thing it could split, and you could still use it. But with a graphite, once it's got a little crack in it, it could just snap off, and you just don't know when it's going to break. But with a wood stick, you kind of have an idea it's cracking. You could tell. It's a little. That's the difference.
Wow. Yeah. Have you ever gotten any compliments during your playing time and over the years? Do you have like a best compliment that you've ever had?
For playing or teaching?
Both.
Both?
We'll go with,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, famous player Ray Ferraro told me that I could shoot through a wall, and I thought that was a compliment.
Yeah, I believe that. I totally.
That was nice of him. I was like, and Bob Miller, the Hall of Fame announcer for the Kings, he brought his grandson to my place. I was training his grandson, and he said the 44 years that he watched hockey, he said he learned more in 1 hour than the 44 years of watching hockey, and I thought that was a huge compliment.
No, it is, and
I was like, wow.
For everybody that's out there listening, Jack is the best.
Thank you. I try to work good with everybody. But yeah, that's what a good compliment.
I'm going to veer off a little bit. It's amazing to watch you teach these kids, some basic stuff that they should know by I want to say the age of 15,
Mm-hmm.
and probably weren't even taught most of this stuff, growing up in youth hockey.
Yeah.
And my son's been going to you for about 7 years now,
Yes.
and I love seeing the process because he's grown so much, and he always gets compliments on how he plays and how good he skates and all that. And I know that's because of you and your family.
Thank you.
It's amazing to watch you do what you do.
Thank you. He's doing well. I mean, Miles started what he started with us. Like he was shooting in his 40s, 40 miles. Now he's at 15 years old. He's shooting 85 miles an hour slap shot.
Yeah.
Which is unbelievable for 15-year-old. It's really good.
Yeah, and that's accurate. Almost NHL.
Shot, and he's accurate too.
Yeah.
I mean, I had many NHLers don't shoot like him. They come to my place and they have to learn. But he's got like the skating got very good. Like he's fast, and you could see it. I see progress.
Well, that's all to you and your family.
Thank you. Thank you.
You guys have helped him out tremendously.
Thank you.
Speaking on another thing, okay, back to the questions. Have you ever got to play with any celebrities?
Yes, many times. So growing up, I got to play pickup games with Alan Thicke. He was on the show called Growing Pains.
Yeah, I remember that.
He became a good friend of mine. Played also with Dennis Leary. Keanu Reeves. Yeah, Keanu Reeves played goalie, and he was pretty good. Who else? The guy from Beverly Hills 90210, Jason Priestley.
Oh wow, he played hockey. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was very good. Like he could act. He skated really well. Like I was impressed how good he was for a celebrity hockey player. Who else? Also Patrick Swayze, Rob Lowe. They were in the movie Youngblood, so I got to skate with them. There's a video on my channel skating with them. Let's see who else. I saw Michael Keaton. Yeah, I have never met MacGyver. I have met Michael J. Fox at the rink, and he was skating. Who else? I'm trying to think. Yeah, but Alan Thicke became like a good friend of mine, and I've known him for many years. He passed away about, I think, 5-6 years ago. He got a heart attack on the ice, but he was really nice, and always was out there to play.
Yeah. I heard about him loving the sport, and always out. I think he always played at Pickwick, right?
He played at North Hollywood, Pickwick, and then I think he also skated. No, Pickwick I think was the most he played at, but also North Hollywood when they had that rink open. He used to always show up there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Thank you.
Speaking of celebrities, have you ever gotten any offers to be in any movies or TV shows?
I did a little segment in it's called what was it? Nickelodeon with Dave Coulier. So there's another guy that I skated with, Dave Coulier. So I did it was about a few seconds. I was a kid and I was skating around. And then the movie Youngblood, they were going to use me in the movie, but I already had my ticket to go to Sweden that year. And I was leaving the following week, so I didn't stay. And I wish I did.
Oh, man.
I would have been in the movie.
That would have been cool.
The guy wanted me to, he asked my dad, and that's how that got.
Yeah.
He saw me skating, and yeah.
Yeah. If you had a chance to work with any NHL players, what would you tell them? Or what would you,
Like to work with them one-on-one, or is like a team? Or okay.
One-on-one.
One-on-one.
Or maybe a team.
One-on-one, I'd have to see where they're at, what they need. And then I would guarantee them that they'd have career numbers, best numbers in their career. I would find their weaknesses and just work on what they need. And that's pretty much it. As a team, I'd have to see the team. I mean, depending on what the team looks like. Yeah.
Well, are there any NHL players that you would want to work with?
I haven't watched much because I'm always at my rink. But if I'd have to watch and see what players would need help. But I'd have to really pay attention, see more than once before I decide.
Yeah.
Yeah, anybody. I would work with anybody. Doesn't matter. Yeah. So, yeah. Because if they're trying to keep their career going, sometime when they reach around 30, 31, the contracts get harder to get, and jobs are getting tougher to get. So they're going to have to upgrade their game, and that's where I come in and I can fix their mistakes.
What about if you were like a general manager of an NHL team? What would you change?
What I would change?
So you can win a Stanley Cup.
Oh, like a method of the way I would manage, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, I would get rid of all my draft picks. I would trade them. Because in order to win a cup, you need 4 good lines and a great goalie. So first thing I do is search for the best goalie I can possibly get. And I'd have 4 good lines. And the 4 good lines are going to come from other teams where I'm trading my picks every year and getting the piece of the puzzle that I need to make 4 perfect lines. And that's what I would do every year. So I would trade my draft picks and get the best players I can get. If I see a guy holding out for more money and he's getting greedy and he's not thinking about team, I would not keep him. The other thing is the biggest mistake these managers all make is they sign guys for 5 or 8 year contracts and they never pan out. So not more than 2 years, 1 or 2 year contracts. That is it. And you can tell who's a team player or who's not once you sign, because they can make money on other ways. They can make money on endorsements.
Yeah.
So a lot of guys, they want to hold out for a few $100,000 more, but they don't think about, because they have a cap. And so I definitely would not keep the draft picks unless I'm guaranteed I know that I may have a really good player that I need for the team. But mostly I'd bring in the guys maybe 1, 2 at a time every year and kind of cycle through and keep it like where I got 4 good lines. That's if you want to win the cup. And some teams don't really care as long as they're filling the seats. I mean, if you want to have superstar players that sell jerseys, you can do that way too. And they don't care about winning. I mean, they making money anyways. So it's all about money for most of these owners.
So, well, that leads me up to my next question. If you were the commissioner of the NHL, what would you change about the game?
I would get rid of the draft. So I would have open camp for every player who's played junior hockey at least 1 year, or college hockey, legitimate juniors, legitimate college, not talking club. So they get at least 1 shot in the NHL. They get to choose where they want to go. So that'd be maybe 500 openings or 1,000 openings a year. And then from there, if they make it, they go to the main camp. If they don't like them, they'll cut them right away, or they come back the following year. There's options. And then that's the best way. At least everybody gets seen, because what's happening is you play junior hockey, you play midget hockey. A lot of coaches sit the kids, and those coaches aren't always the best coaches, because if they were, they'd be at the higher levels. So a lot of kids don't get seen. And I believe that if you get rid of the draft, because scouts only pick certain areas to watch, and the story after story, like look at Pavel Datsyuk, was left out like three drafts before they picked him. And the guy's a legend. I mean, how did they miss him, So it just tells you stuff. Panarin's never been drafted. So I just think get rid of the draft, open it up where everybody, get rid of the scouting completely, because I think it's a joke. And open it up where everybody gets a fair chance. And give everybody a fair chance that is, got to play junior hockey, and go from there.
Do you think hockey would be in a better spot if they did it that way as opposed to the way they do it now?
Absolutely. There would be so much politics under the table, maybe getting paid to get these guys drafted. A lot of times this guy's son played in the NHL. His son wants to make it, so they draft his son because of who the guy is. He's friends with the scouts. The other thing I would get rid of is I would get rid of the instigator rule. So there would be, not much chirping then, because if they start a fight, you wouldn't have the extra 2 minutes. So I'd have that. The other thing is I'd have more rivalries in the NHL. There's not enough rivalries anymore. There's just too many teams. So it's very watered down. I'd probably drop it to 24 teams, so it'd be a better hockey. Yeah. The other thing is I would get rid of, like, every team has, like, Dodger night, Laker night, Star Wars night. I'd
yeah.
get rid of that. If you're going to watch hockey, you're going to watch hockey. You're not going to watch Dodgers, right? So I wanted to go back to traditional hockey where, it's all about the hockey.
Yeah.
So and get rid of the salary cap and make it all bonus money. So basically, here's how it would work. So everybody starts out at 500,000 coming into the league, and based on your ice time and point percentage, you get X amount of dollars during the year. So if you're performing good, and say you play 8 minutes a game compared to a guy who plays 20, and you're getting more points, your money is higher. So say end of the year, you could end at 900,000. So next year, you start out at 900,000. So instead of having these, contracts where it's like they're not panning up to it, you sign a guy for 5 million or 10 million, and they're not panning up to it. So it's better to do it based on bonus, where based on performance. For defense too, blocking shots, plus minus, takeaways, not turning the puck over, stuff like that. So they can make a system where everybody they start out at 500,000 coming into the league, and based on their performance, they make the bonus money. So if they win the cup, they make 10 times the amount of what they ended the season with.
Okay. That makes sense.
So I think it's better than just having guys, you're paying, there's a lot of crazy stories. Goalie was making 67 million. He was injured most of the time. There's many stories like that. I think there's one that's Mike Richards still getting paid by the Kings. He's not playing anymore. So that was a stupid deal, that they made.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. So this is very good that it's based on bonuses.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that would make more sense. If you ever had if you ever had a chance to work in the NHL, would you?
Not really. Not interested.
Okay.
Yeah, I've turned the job down once. Sorry?
Not even for like a team?
Not really. I'll tell you why. So I turned the job down in 1998. I got an offer to be a scout for the Boston Bruins. I turned it down. They were pretty upset that I did that. But that's my decision. I don't want to travel. But what I believe is if you work for a team, they control you. So you're going to get a guy who doesn't know anything about what I do and is going to tell me how to do my job, and that ain't going to happen. So I refuse to work for anybody.
You had a thing at Cal Lutheran where you were testing hockey and baseball, and you wanted to hit a home run over a legitimate pro field, and I was there for it. You tried once, and the first time, you just went with whatever stuff you had, and then the second time you fixed whatever little kinks you needed to fix, and you hit a home run. What was that like?
That was probably my personal greatest accomplishment in my life to do. I can't believe I did it. They said it can't be done, and the coaches are like, "There's no way, you can't do it." We have baseball players that hit just 30 home runs in 2 years, and not many towards the left field. They said, and so I had the first time I was trying it out. The sticks were very long because I had them for ice. So then I made the adjustments. I shortened the sticks down, and that helped a lot. And I got it over the 350 wall. It was about at least 10 feet over, would you say?
Yeah.
And by the time it landed, maybe, I don't know how far it would have gone. And then the other one was 370.
It was at least another 10, 15, maybe even 20 yards further.
So the other one was over 370, and also I think 8 to 10 feet over the fence. The fence was, I think, 8 feet high. So, it's going all over that. And I couldn't find the pucks, though, because we stopped the camera and I went back to look and I couldn't find the pucks where they went. I
Yeah,
wish
there
I
was
did.
people walking back there and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
they may have picked him up, or it just rolled even further down the hill, or whatever it was.
That was fun.
But yeah, no, that was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen.
Thank you.
You know, I mean, nobody. I mean, who's ever really tried that? You know,
No.
I don't think very many people have, or even try to attempt it. But it was awesome to see that you hit an actual home run with a puck.
Yeah, it was like clearing two full ice rinks.
Yeah, yeah.
From goal line and hitting over one ice rink to hitting the boards on the second one, pretty much. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was fun. Well, yeah. I decided just to, put everything I have, and it went. It was we took, I don't know, like 40 shots each, because your son was doing also, so we were
I think the furthest he got was 238, somewhere around there. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Because we had we were measuring them out.
Yeah.
We had the phone. It's a good way to measure. Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to ask you a few more questions.
Sure.
I have a couple more NHL questions.
Okay.
The first one would be, what do you think about the training in the NHL? And what about goalie training as well?
Okay, so training, I haven't seen practices lately, but I'm sure they're getting a lot of stuff from Europe, is what I'm seeing in the games when they're playing. There's a lot more passing than before. Like, as far as moving, they're kind of using a lot of strategies from Europe, I believe, in the training. I think they send guys over there to learn, and that's what the Detroit Red Wings used to do in the 90s. They used to send the assistant coach to Sweden to learn. So they're picking a lot of stuff from Europe, the way they're doing drills, the way they're designing the practice times and all of that. They're learning from Europe. So they're changing a lot of stuff.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And the goalie training, so here's what I think about goalie coaches. I don't think they should be out there in practice. It's just distracting the goalie. I think goalie coaches should be working on the side after practice, but not during the practice. And
so solely just for the goalies.
Yeah, and what I ask a goalie coach this: these guys played in the 70s and 80s and 90s. They never used this stuff. Why all of a sudden are they using this kind of saves? How did they pick it up? How come they didn't use it when they were playing? That's my question to them.
Yeah. Do you feel that a lot of NHL teams are copying each other's playmaking?
Absolutely. So when I watch a game, I'll see them do like a power play breakout, and I see all the teams doing the same thing. So to me, that looks like teams are copying each other. So if one play works successfully, other coaches will pick up on it. They'll watch the videos and they'll copy it. And to me, that means they're not being creative and they're just copying. So that, to me, that's not good coaching. They all do the same power play. It's either umbrella or overload. They're not really the same setup, same. Everybody's doing the same thing. That's what I'm seeing. So,
why do you think that is? Do you just feel like there might not be enough creativity? Or
I think so. They just don't know enough. They just get in there because they know someone who knows them to get the job, and that's pretty much it. There's not enough creativity. They don't think outside the box. Everybody's doing the same thing. I think what I really think is people are scared to do something different. They're afraid to take a risk, and I think that's the problem.
If you were out there, would you change?
I would do this. Absolutely. I would have such a strategy that teams couldn't keep up, because each line would have different combinations. They could not keep up. So maybe if I have 3 lines, each line has maybe 3-4 combinations. I'd run practice completely different. What I would do is I would have each line go 45 minutes in practice, and the next line comes in 45 minutes, work a unit of 5, or maybe just defensemen, or, just depending on what we're trying to accomplish. But I would do it completely different.
Okay. This question's a little bit different.
Yes.
I want to know what the dumbest or stupidest thing you have ever heard in hockey, whether you were playing or just on the side somewhere, or whatever it is.
Let me think here. Okay, so like the stupidest thing someone said on the bench or on the coaches or a fan?
Whatever you felt was just like one of those moments where you just looked at him and it was like, "Are you crazy?"
Quite a bit of time, but no. Listen, there's a lot of intelligent things said, but okay, a little over 20 years ago, I was sitting with the scouts, with the San Jose Sharks and Ducks scouts. I was sitting watching the games. It was a rookie game, and Getzlaf was playing, and I think Corey Perry was playing. So the Sharks guy comes around like to the slot, and he just takes like a backhand, maybe like 25, 30 miles an hour. Like it wasn't even that fast. But it hit the crossbar. And they're like, ooh, who is that guy? And they look at, number 25, let me see who that is. And they were like all gathered to look at what. And I was thinking to myself, if that puck went another inch over where it didn't hit the crossbar and it missed the net, they would have made fun of that guy. Just because it hit the crossbar. It was like a lucky shot, right? But they're like, who is that guy? They kind of like drew attention. I thought that was kind of stupid. And if that's all it takes for those scouts to react and they can't figure out where, I was laughing. Inside, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, for a reaction to be like that, I mean, does that tell you how these guys got their job?
Scouts usually get their job because they stay with the team and the team's kind of loyal to them and they give them a job. But really, you have to have an eye to see talent. And if you can't pick out the best player on the ice, and not everybody does, and you can see the draft, how many, what's the percentage? Like 10% they get to actually play. And it's not a good odds. So that's why I was saying earlier they should have an open camp where they invite maybe 1,000 players or 500 players per team from May to September and just break it down and take the top, say, 40 guys to main camp. I think that'd be a lot better. Within 5 minutes, the guy has it or doesn't. But at least everybody gets a chance instead of these scouts just going to regions. And like a scout, I heard stories where the scouts heard about this guy in Siberia, and like 80 scouts went out there to watch him because they heard there's this big hype on this Russian player. Ended up being they said it was like a 6th-round pick, it's the best at a 6th-round pick. And just because they hyped him up, and I kind of don't like that. I think they should have an open camp where the coaches, when you play major hockey or juniors, they don't give you a chance sometimes, and you never get seen. And I think they play a big role, and I believe that. So
Okay. Here's another question for you.
Yes.
This one's a little bit different though. How do you become a coach? What's the process of getting your coach's card for?
Oh, you mean so USA hockey for the kids?
Yeah.
Not like for NHL or minor league. Okay, for the kids.
I'm sorry, I should have said that.
Yeah, that's all right. So for youth hockey, basically you go to this seminar that's on a weekend, and I had to do that to get my coach's card. I decided to kind of voluntarily help to coach a team like 12 years ago, and so I went to the seminar. So the biggest problem with that seminar is they read through a book. They got a guy who's never had that much experience to talk. He coaches a little bit. And they don't teach you the signs. If you want to be a coach, you have to know the signs. And you say, well, what is the signs? Basically, when you diagram a drill and you post it on the wall, it has to have certain kind of signs to where it shows the puck carrier, a pass being made. You have to learn the signs first before you do any drills. The next thing that was not good is they asked who can put together a 10-week program. So I raised my hand. So I went up and talked. The next thing I know, I did about 25% of the talking up on the seminar for the whole weekend. I was up there for about 25% talking. That's not supposed to happen. I'm supposed to be there just to get my card. But I ended up talking, and then come on back up, and can you talk some more, show some. But I shouldn't be doing that. And that's the USA Hockey process is all wrong. I think they need to scrap everything in USA Hockey, including these so-called experts running everything, because
Yeah.
they're not doing it right.
What would you change about that as far as getting your coach's card?
What I would do is look, anybody here in the United States can be a coach, even if you've never stepped on ice. You can get like a level 4, level 5, which is wrong. I
Yeah.
think you have to show that you have played some hockey and that you have where you can design a play or a drill. A lot of these people that were there, they didn't, just because they played, also, they didn't have any idea on how to design a drill. And what they tell the people is, oh, you go on YouTube to get stuff and you can get a coach's app. So that's what they were talking about. Like, oh, this is how you do it. You get coach's app. But to me, that means the coaches really don't know. And that was a
Yeah.
problem for me from what I saw. Like in Sweden, if you're going to be a coach, you have to be some sort of former professional player. You have to know kid psychology. You have to have know CPR. All of that before you get your certification. Here, anybody can be a coach. And it's wrong. It's total BS how they do it. And so I think that
Wow.
with me, I would scrap the whole program. The whole USA Hockey should be scrapped, start all over fresh, and get rid of those people that are running it. I don't think they're doing it right. That's my opinion.
Have you thought about contacting USA Hockey?
I
giving
contacted
us some
them.
insight?
Yeah, I contacted him before to tell him my opinion. I spoke with some head person there. All they care about is the money, and that's about it. They didn't they couldn't answer anything. They didn't solve anything. So I have a lot of students come in, and I hear everything that goes on. Verbal abuse. Here's the one, Gabriel. The one that gets me, look, I love Canadians. Canadians are great hockey players. Their leagues are way better than what we have, more leagues, juniors and everything. But
Yeah.
they come to our colleges. They take up one team I remember had 23 out of 24 were Canadian, taking U.S. scholarships. When we go to
wow.
Canada to play, U.S. people go to Canada or Europe, there's only 2 imports per team. But when they come to United States, they're taking up all the colleges. So, and in Canada, when you play juniors, you get paid a little bit of money.
Yeah.
And I brought that up to USA Hockey. They didn't want to talk about it. And what happens is USA hires a lot of Canadian coaches, which is great. But the
Yeah.
Canadian coaches go to their hometowns and they pick Canadian players for the U.S. spots. So when your kid gets older, there's not enough college scholarships because it's taken all by Canadians. But don't get me wrong, they're great players, but there got to be some
Yeah.
kind of a rule where the Americans also have a fair amount of people coming in
fair
to play.
trade.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, fair trade of-
Yeah.
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 Yeah, as a matter of fact, I had heard that about one team here in California, juniors, a Canadian coach, and he brought some Canadian players.
Yeah, they do that. I mean, they're great players, they have like USHL. They have like 6, 7 of those leagues in Canada that are equivalent, and they got major, junior. I mean, it's very organized. But what happens is for the scholarships, American kids when they play USHL, like I did, you cannot get paid. You can't even
Yeah.
take $5. But in Canada, we used to get pocket money. So then those guys are still getting scholarships. The one kid was getting $1,500 a month, and he still got a scholarship from Canada. It's not
wow.
fair. It's not fair.
Yeah,
So this
yeah.
is my complaint: is American kids, and then USA Hockey does nothing about it. There's a lot
Yeah.
of So that's my complaint.
Wow. Okay. Back to NHL.
Yes.
If you were given a chance to work with a current NHL player, what advice would you give him?
My advice to him would be, look, you got into the NHL, and there's days they don't want to be there, but you got to think about the fan that's coming to watch you play. He's driving
Yeah.
maybe 2 hours each way, 2.5 hours each way. They got to stand in line for everything, to buy food, use the restrooms, everything's inconvenience. And fight
Yeah.
your way through traffic to find parking. It's not easy. And if you give a half-ass effort, then you should not be playing. Because you are getting
Yeah.
paid to play, but we got to remember, there might be someone out there that could be their last hockey game. They may be alive for another month. And just things like that, you always want to show up to play day in and day out. And if you're not doing
Yeah.
that, then you don't belong there. That's my advice.
Wow. Never thought about it like that.
Well, you think about it. When you go, it's like you have to go through security. It's basically like an airport. Then I got to go use the restroom. I got to wait in line. I got to go get a drink. Water's like $5. Buying a beer is like $10, $15. I don't even know.
Yeah, it's about 50.
Yeah, and then sometimes people get up and stand up, and your seat's at least over $100.
Yep.
And they know you miss a goal because the guy stood in front of you, they cut in front of you. So all inconveniences. So for that, and they don't put the effort. To me, that bothers me. You want to always give 100% day in and day out. I don't care if you're tired, you're hurt, you're getting paid to play. I understand it's a long season. That's hockey though. We play every day. That's
what you signed up for.
Exactly. And I know you're going to get bumps and bruises. That's part of the job. And there is guys out there that put in the effort, but there's always that one that sometimes didn't want to be there that night. And I feel for the fans. They pay the money to go watch hockey. They had a long day at work, stressed out. This is a stress relief to go enjoy,
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, it takes like 6 hours of your day pretty much to go to a game, if you think about it, with leaving early. So 7:30 game, you have to leave at least 4:30 or 5. By the time you get back, it's probably like 11:30 or midnight.
Yeah.
Fighting traffic. Yeah, so that's my advice.
Okay. Now for youth hockey, I know you've run into some kids that have the talent and you see that they have something in them.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give them to get to the big show?
Keep bettering yourself every day. And just because you're playing a high level, don't be so cocky and arrogant. Because the guy that's below you can catch you or pass you within a couple of years. Maybe he's working harder than you or working the proper right way. But main things, always respect your parents, respect your coaches, always thank everybody, and just don't get into trouble. Like if you are trying to make it, my advice is be a good listener, and that's what they're looking for is the attitude. So if your attitude's terrible, and I know a lot of guys that didn't make it because their attitude's bad, they won't take you. So they're looking for attitude, good attitude. They'll interview like your job interviews. So you have to kind of sell yourself and promote yourself. And you have to have guts to sit there and talk,
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to prove to them why you belong there and not the other guy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think I've run out of questions. So
Thank you. It went well.
I'm. It's always a great experience to talk to you.
Thank you.
Even not in this interview, but like just being there at your shop, just talking and listening to you, learning. I every time I see you and I talk to you or Steve or even your mother Rosemary, it's always a learning experience. I always learn something from you guys, which I'm very grateful for.
Thank you.
Because honestly, without you guys, I wouldn't know as much as I know now.
Traveled a lot, playing and everything, and just
hearing about your experiences, and when you were coming up and stuff like that, it resonates with me because I know Miles is going to go through a lot of similarities, which you went through, and I try to guide him, hey, don't do this or do this, and it's going to be up to him if he's going to listen or not. But it helps. Yeah, it helps.
I just want to let people know, hockey's a political world, and I know stories where, the scouts have an influence on the coaches for the junior teams. For example, if a kid gets drafted to the NHL and he's playing on a junior team, and say a guy who's not drafted gets more ice time and he's doing better, the scouts sometimes make phone calls to those coaches not to play those guys, to play their guys. And that happens a lot where they're pushing their guys. If he's not getting enough ice time and it's not getting enough points, it doesn't look good for the scouts. So what they do is they push for those guys and they'll move the other guy down. It happens all the time. And I just want to let people know stuff like that happens. and it's
Yeah.
so just kind of people are aware of what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah. I want to thank you for interviewing me.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for letting me do this.
Yeah.
It's just great to hear, your experience.
Thank you. And wish everybody all the best listening, all the best of luck, and good health to everybody out there.
Yeah, you too. You and your family as well.
Thank you, Gabriel. Appreciate it.
No, thank you.
You're welcome. Talk to you soon. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
See you,
All right,
buddy.
Jack.
Bye bye.
Sure, bye.
Bye bye.